I'm on my way. Oh, hey, how you doing? I'm doing just absolutely wonderful. Thanks for asking. Now that you're here, what can I do for you? You want to hear stories about being in a prison? You want to hear stories about a corrections officer working in a prison? Oh, I understand. Well, guess what? You come to the right place. I'm sorry, guys. I'm just trying my poke at a little attempt of humor right there. Guys, welcome back to the page. Just talks all things TDCJ, every now and again military. I'm your host, Jesse. Been out for a little bit. That's okay. Here we are. We're back. Let's get things started. What are we going to talk about today? Well, I like to have motivating factors for the recounts that I like to talk about. And this latest cold spell that we've had reminded me of a particular situation that I had. So, I want you guys to kick back, grab your favorite beverage. Happy Saturday. Let me tell y'all all about how it went. It has been absolutely miserable cold here on the East Coast. It's been a little bit up and down, but about a week ago, man, we were down into around 18 or so outside. My Southeast Texas ass is just not used to that kind of weather. A little bit rough. Everyone's had to go through it, everyone's had to deal with it. So, what does this have to do with a story about prison? Well, I'm going to tell y'all that. Let's hydrate. Most of the facilities around TDCJ are not air conditioned or heated. They're what's affectionately called climate controlled. Most of the buildings, at least the 2250 buildings, I'm not sure about the telephone style ones, telephone pole style ones, they had basically big industrial attic fans. It's the best thing I can compare it to. For those of you who know what an attic fan is, if you don't, throw in your Google machine. They had that. It didn't really air condition or heat anything. It just moved air around. In AdSeg 12 building, we had the luxury of heat and air conditioning. The main reason for that, I'm kind of racking my brain. Why did it have it while the rest of the place had to suffer? Well, because in SEG we were better than everybody. At least I know I was. Get a little hate mail for that one. Anyway, SEG had air conditioning, true air conditioning, and true heat. The air conditioning during the summertime was absolutely wonderful. We had to wear those bulky stab vests, long sleeve shirts. I was the jackass who had mine cut into short sleeves. Yeah, whatever. I noticed, I'm sorry, I'm getting off topic. I notice on Facebook and other social medias that TDCJ officers wear different uniforms. So I'm sorry if what I'm saying contrasts to what they wear now. When I walked the floors, we wore gray slacks. It had a dark gray stripe down the outer side of the legs. Long sleeve shirts that buttoned up gray. So on badge, you had the TDCJ patch, you had the American flag patch. They also had a polo shirt and a set of BDU, battle dress uniform, a set of BDU style pants. I notice it's completely different from what I talk about. So just please keep in mind, it's been almost 10 years since I've been there. So we wore those uniforms plus the stab vest. I don't know what they wear to walk around AdSeg nowadays. Anyway, during the summertime, it was absolutely wonderful. In the wintertime, the heat, absolutely dreadful. I think it was gas, either natural gas, propane. I don't know specifically. I wasn't an HVAC maintenance supervisor. The heat would just be absolutely miserable inside that place. There was no ventilation in there. You could open the door that went out into the passageway to walk up and down to get to the different pods, but nothing circulated. There were I don't even know if you call them windows, but inside the cells, about yay long, maybe about 5 feet, they had that in their cells. That was to let a little bit of natural lighting in, bring just a little bit of peace, tranquility to what these guys are. Guys, 12 building was a fucking dungeon. If the apocalypse ever breaks out, zombie apocalypse, whatever, you need a place to hole up, find you a 2250 facility, find 12 building, that's going to be the place to go. The prison within a prison. Okay, SEG was lockdown of the lockdowns. Once again, what's this have to do with the wintertime? Well, the most miserable winter that I spent there, which I didn't spend very many of them, was in December. The heat went out. There was almost icicles growing inside this place. I don't know why it seemed so absolutely, wow. If I only edited this. I don't know why it seemed so absolutely cold inside that building, but to say it was miserable was absolutely miserable. It wasn't too terribly bad for us guards, as people like to call us. It wasn't too bad for the COs because the uniforms that we wear, the stab vest, we're always on our feet moving around. This is a time when I would actually really 100% sympathize with the inmate locked down into this place. Yes, they did whatever they did to get themselves there. However, there was no escaping that cold. They didn't have a whole lot of ways to avoid it. They only got issued a couple of things comfort necessity-wise. Let's talk about necessities. Once a week, there's two odd supervisory positions in TDCJ: food service manager, laundry service manager. When they come in, they start off at the pay equivalency of the supervisor sergeant. Sergeants supervise shifts, supervise COs who work the dorms, the pods, the buildings. They're security supervisors. Laundry service manager, food service manager were classified as non-security supervisors. That's all I know about what that means. They simply supervised the inmates that worked with them. Food service managers assigned to the chow halls, laundry service managers assigned to the laundry area. As you can imagine, food and laundry, big things in the penitentiary. In SEG, the guys couldn't go and get clothing exchanges like they did in general population. Laundry service managers would typically come once a week. I think they got 3 items issued. They'd have their white shirt, white pants, white pair of socks, white boxers, I think it was. Don't really remember. Didn't pay a whole lot of attention to it. Didn't care. I think the exchange rate was 3. So think about that. Once a week, you get 3 pairs of clothes. You wear 2 each day. I'm sorry. 1 pair has to last you 2 days. The last pair has to last you at least 3 days. They weren't allowed to do their own laundry. They would do it a lot of times. They'd wash it in their sink, hang it to dry, give themselves the bird baths. Sometimes I'd write them up for it, sometimes I wouldn't. Just depended on what was going on there during the day. Most of the time, they were able to make it last and go through. During the wintertime, they'd get a jacket issued. It was the same kind of jacket that we got issued as COs. It was green, basically a puffer coat. It had the, why am I even doing that? It had the diamond pattern style. It looked warm. It was big. It was poofy. Thing was not warm. The wind would just absolutely slice right through that thing. Forgive me. I racked my brain. They did get a set of sheets and a blanket. I can't for the life of me remember what the blanket looked like. I think there was one for summer and there was one for wintertime. Laundry service manager's job was to facilitate that. Anytime somebody non-security related came into SEG, aka the chaplain, the pill nurse, even the warden, because technically warden was not security staff. Yes, warden ran the facility, but because they didn't wear the uniform, they were required an escort. Those individuals, non-security related, we had to stop what we were doing and escort them on around through. Oddly enough, they let them damn crooked ass SSIs run around and do everything, but that's neither here nor there. Food service manager never came in. The SSIs would push the food cart in, and then we had to take over and pass out the trays. SSIs could not pass the food out to them. Even though in general population, it was fucking inmates working the line, slopping the food on the trays for them. We argued that so many times. Never worked. COs had to pass it out. Laundry service manager come in usually once a week. They were supposed to, if I needed 3 sets of clothes, I was supposed to give them 3 sets. They would give me back 3 sets. It was a 1-for-1 type of exchange. Anytime somebody came in with anything tangible, the place would erupt. Commissary, oh God, here we go. That's one that I forgot. Commissary lady, when they'd come in with that stuff, because they weren't security staff, we had to escort them around. We also had to keep everyone from trying to steal the shit that they had in their carts. You're thinking they're locked behind their doors. How can they do it? They can. It's just how it was. Laundry manager would come in. During the wintertime, they were supposed to issue them out jackets. They were supposed to issue them out blankets. With the heat, it wasn't so bad. When that heat went out in December, dude, that place was a freezer. I don't know what triggered this series of events that started. There were either a bunch of I-60 forms that were sent out that they didn't have jackets, they didn't have blankets. We were issued a set of orders when we were in turnout one morning. While we were doing our rounds throughout the day, we were supposed to take inventory of who had a jacket, who had a blanket, who didn't have jacket or blanket, so they could get issued it. Do you think when we started doing that when you went and knocked on cell door number 5, inmate Jenkins, you got your jacket, you got your blanket? Yeah, boss, I got it right here. He'd hand it up and show it to us? Absolutely not. They made it out to be like nobody had been issued that stuff. They'd have it hiding somewhere in that cell. They'd ball it up, put it in the corner where you couldn't see in it, hang it somewhere. They had all been issued it, but they'd make the shit disappear just so they could get extra ones. Couldn't blame them. It was cold. So we were told we're supposed to go around, take inventory of who does and who doesn't have it. I remember the 2 days because both days I ended up losing my partner. I was working Charlie Pod. Charlie Pod was level 1 security. Level 1 security, Charlie, Bravo, Alpha, ABC, phonetic alphabet. You could work with 2 bosses. One on the picket, one on the floor. If you had level 2, level 3 security inmates, which was DEF, Delta Echo Foxtrot, X-ray is X, you had to have 3. One on the picket, 2 on the floor. So if you had a second boss working in the lower security pods, it actually wasn't too bad. I start on one side, he starts on the other side. I start doing what I do. I'm going to take cells 14, 28, 42. I'm going to go to 42. And he's going to go from 43 on up to 84. I think, yeah, 84. And we just cut it off in half. I moved my guys around. He moves his guys around. It was half the work. It was really nice. If you didn't have that extra boss, which a lot of times we didn't, you ended up having to do everything by yourself. We were told about that in turnout. It wasn't too bad at first. We started our first rounds in the morning. You go bang on the door, ask the guy, you want shower, you want rec? I tried asking them at first, do they have blanket? Do they have jacket? They weren't awake enough to tell me. Cool. I get that. It's 6:30-ish, whatever or so in the morning when we took onto it. So we were going to make that a part of the daily routine. When we got ready to pull the guy out, take him to rec, take him to shower, that's when we were going to check to see, do they have blanket? Do they have jacket? Somehow, and word travels fast. Thank you for the individual who commented on my one video. Word travels faster than whatever kind of sense you were trying to make. word spreads around. To these guys, this is a way for them to get an extra blanket and an extra jacket. So nobody, it didn't matter who you asked, what kind of reputation you had, any kind of good rapport with the guys, nope. Nobody had jackets, nobody had blankets. So, started getting tired of asking them. Just ended up reporting back at the end of the shift. Nobody had blankets, nobody had jackets. This word gets back to the laundry department. Laundry department is absolutely pissed at us. No, we didn't really do a very good job of it. Should have. Sorry, didn't. We're just like, nope, they ain't got it. Bring it to them. Laundry wants a recount of all these sales. Turn out the next day. Me and my partner get assigned Charlie Pod. Partner inconveniently, before we actually get out to the pods, Gen Pop is shorthanded. They need rovers. Who gets pulled? My partner. Gets pulled because I'm not required to have one. Now I'm working Charlie Pod by myself. Going on through the day, I actually forgot I was supposed to be taking inventory of blankets, jackets. Wasn't even making a thing of it. At some point, I think it was, I had already served lunch. I'd already served lunch chow. So it was sometime around noon. At some point, laundry service manager comes in with their cart. They had these big bin rolling carts. Dirty, clean. Inmate would pull from the clean, push it in, they take the dirty, throw it back in that one, and they go on about it. She wants to know who doesn't have blankets and jackets. Uh-oh. Think she was in a good mood? Absolutely not. Building's ice cold. Inmates are pissed. I had to tell her, I'm sorry, ma'am. I hadn't had a chance to take inventory. She goes, it's Sarge. All right. Okay, cool. Go ahead and play that game. Sarge, I hadn't had a chance to take inventory on it. I need you to go around and find out in each one of these pods who doesn't have a jacket and a blanket. It's like, well, Sarge, that's going to be kind of difficult. They're out in the day room right here. Hey, you got a jacket over? Yelled out over the day room. Hey, you got a jacket or? No, I ain't got no jacket. I ain't got no blanket. We've been asking for that shit for weeks. Guy says weeks, and it's only been out for just a couple of days. Place absolutely erupts. Beating, banging. They're all yelling out. Civil rights getting violated. They don't have necessities. Not getting what they're supposed to do. She looks around the place and is like, Raymond's going to hear about this. And she leaves. What she meant, supervisor, shift supervisor, Lieutenant Raymond, Sergeant Jones, she was going to go tell them that I hadn't taken a proper inventory. Things were going to go from there. Fortunately, I ended up not getting wrote up for anything. It did get passed up. However, because it was such a disaster of the other COs not taking inventory of what's going on, nothing really happened. What ended up having to happen, laundry came and they ended up giving everybody a jacket and a blanket. I'm pretty sure everybody in there had extras and they were just trying to hoard the stuff. However, they did need it. These men were freezing inside this building. That was a time in my career there, I actually felt sorry for those guys, and I didn't want them to be in there. I know they were in there suffering. There was nothing we could do to bring heat into the place. If we had brought in portable heaters, the way SEG is so locked down, it wouldn't have done any good. Gen Pop, they can all huddle up out in the day room. You get fans, you get heat going in there. We didn't have that option in SEG. So, that's my story about how that happened. I had a clash with the laundry manager. Didn't do the job properly the way I was supposed to. Sorry about that. But at the end of the day, they got what they needed. And everything went on from there. Guys, I hope you've enjoyed this video. Hope everyone's doing good, enjoying winter. I'm beyond ready for it to be past. Not looking forward to the dog days of summer, but I'm ready for some better weather here. To the ones who've commented about they're getting ready to start the academy, do I have any advice for them? Such and such, such and such. The last one that asked me had a phone interview. Could this individual consider themselves hired? Everything I did was on paper, and we did face-to-face interviews back then. If you get a phone call from TDCJ talking to you about your application, and at the end of that you haven't heard no, I would say yes, any one of you has been hired, because to put a phone call out at that point, the agency is spending money on an individual. TDCJ ain't going to spend a penny that they don't have to. So, I would say yes, you have the job. Good luck, congratulations. Please tell all of us about how it works out for you. Guys, take care. Happy Saturday. I'll see y'all in the next one.